Welcome to Asian Star Trend. Our channel updates hot news about Asia's most popular stars. Please subscribe and comment to help us update better videos in the endless current of life. There are encounters that arrive quietly yet leave a mark no storm can erase. Zhai Yiying had only just taken her first steps into the adult world. She carried with her the fragile bravery of someone untested, innocent, slightly awkward, and unsure of where she belonged. Zhao Zhendong, on the other hand, had long learned the art of silence. Calm and self-contained, he was a man whose steady gaze concealed both solitude and strength. On an ordinary afternoon, with nothing remarkable in the air, fate decided to weave their paths together. There were no fireworks, no dramatic clashes, only a glance, almost casual, that changed everything. It was as if two solitary planets had drifted for years through a vast universe and, by sheer chance, finally found each other's orbit. From that single, unplanned moment, the rhythm of their worlds shifted. Neither of them understood why, but the air around them seemed lighter, as if someone had quietly opened a window. Their connection did not grow through the grand gestures so often celebrated on screens. Instead, it bloomed in the stillness, in conversations that stretched late into the night, in quiet walks where words were unnecessary, in the warmth of simply being understood. Perhaps that is what makes their story unforgettable. It is a reminder that the extraordinary often hides in the ordinary, that sometimes, the right person doesn't appear with thunder, but with the kind of gentleness that makes you believe in constellations. When the credits roll on their story, viewers are left not with noise, but with a calm certainty. Somewhere, without warning, a single glance can change the shape of a life forever. The first time they met was in the library, a place built for silence, yet that day, silence was broken in the gentlest way. He was crouched in front of a shelf, fingers searching for a book, when an awkward movement sent a stack of novels tumbling to the floor. Flustered, Zhao Zhendong bent down, scooping them up one by one until his hand paused on a worn copy of The Kite Runner. When he looked up, their eyes met. For a heartbeat, the world stopped. Embarrassed, he lowered his head, a faint smile brushing his lips. "Don't worry," he whispered softly, "I'll help you." It was such an ordinary sentence, yet those simple words quietly pulled back a curtain in Zhai Yiying's heart. From that afternoon on, he seemed to appear without fanfare, like a steady presence just beyond the edges of her busy life. He never pursued her loudly or with grand gestures. Instead, he protected from a distance. If she worked late, he would wait quietly outside, his car parked far enough not to be noticed, just to make sure she was safe. When she fell ill, he showed up downstairs with porridge and medicine, never demanding to be let in, never asking for thanks. Zhao Zhendong was not the dramatic hero of a television drama, not a domineering figure sweeping her off her feet. His strength came in subtler shades, in small acts of care that stitched themselves into the unnoticed corners of her days. And perhaps that is why she could never forget that library, because sometimes, love doesn't enter our lives with fireworks. It begins with a clumsy accident, a quiet smile, and the realization that someone has chosen to stay. His care never crowded her world. Instead, it created a presence so steady she could feel it without looking. Slowly, Yiying found herself waiting for that presence. She began to look forward to the moments when he would appear without ever being called. What Zhao Zhendong never knew was that behind all those coincidences, he had been paving a quiet path toward her heart. And what he couldn't see was how her pulse quickened every time her phone lit up, how even a casual message from him could brighten an entire day in her life. He became like a gentle post on her WeChat feed, not loud, not demanding attention, but something she would return to again and again, smiling to herself. Then, one sudden rainy afternoon, everything changed. He was sitting alone at a bus stop, drenched, his phone out of battery, the storm soaking him through in minutes. He looked almost out of place, someone used to holding everything together, now stranded, waiting. A car stopped in front of him. The window rolled down. "I knew you didn't bring an umbrella today," Yiying said, her voice soft but sure. The rain blurred the world around them. In that instant, something shifted. For the first time, she had come to him. There was no formal confession, no grand declaration. No roses, no staged surprises. Their love didn't need them. It arrived on its own quietly, like rain, and just as unstoppable. From that moment on, the story of Zhai Yiying and Zhao Zhendong ceased to be about chance encounters. It became a story about choosing to stay. Two lives, once parallel, now flowing together as naturally as a river finds its way to the sea. The first time they held hands wasn't planned. It happened on an ordinary street when Yiying stumbled on a crack in the pavement. Zhao Zhendong instinctively reached out to steady her and never let go. He was never a man of flowery declarations. Instead of promises, he carried an umbrella for every unexpected storm. She was not someone who knew how to act soft or charming, but when his shoulder sagged with fatigue, there was always a cup of hot tea waiting for him. Two people, both poor at expressing affection with words, learned to speak a different language, a language of small, unspoken gestures. Friends noticed it before they did. In group photos, their candid moments unposed, unnoticed, always drew the most attention. It wasn't because they flaunted their love. It was because their love was there, woven into the fabric of daily life. Breakfast together, a walk with the dog, a hand reaching for the same bunch of vegetables at the supermarket. Simple things that, in their orbit, became quietly extraordinary. Like any couple, they sometimes argued. There were cold silences and sharp words, but never for long. By nightfall, the distance would always close. He was always the first to bow his head, the one who broke the tension with a quiet smile. What they built together was not dramatic or perfect. It was real, something tender that grew from the smallest of details, something that made the people around them believe that love, when true, does not always shout. Sometimes it simply stays, and for Yiying and Zhendong, that was enough. They are not perfect. And yet, together, they are her parents. Tell the neighbors, this young man is steady. For us, Yiying is a treasure, his parents say at gatherings. Since he brought her home, he has become more responsible. The quiet approval of two families turned young, uncertain love into something deeper, a steady step toward forever. Zhai Yiying and Zhao Zhendong are not just lovers, they are partners. They share projects, take classes together, study late into the night, make budgets, and shoulder the pressures of life as a team. No one is left behind. No one disappears into sacrifice. They motivate each other, grow together, and, in the process, strengthen the love between them. Once, she was the girl who cried at problems. Now, she stands tall, not because he changed her, but because he stood behind her and said, "Go ahead. I'm here." That quiet promise became her armor to the world. Zhao Zhendong is calm and decisive. But in front of her, he is soft. He coaxes her for hours when she is upset, crosses the city for her favorite cake, and whispers words meant only for her. Their understanding runs so deep that friends joke they share a secret language. One glance, and he knows she is hungry. One smile, and she knows he is tired. It doesn't mean they never fight. But breakup has never been in their vocabulary. For them, challenges are reasons to hold on tighter. Their future is not just a checklist, it's a series of shared dreams. Cherry blossoms in Japan, a cat named Lucky, a table wiped clean every night. True love, they prove, is not loud. It lives in these small, certain gestures and stays.